first thing is that you find fulfillment or happiness in providing a service or purpose. We think that this is very noble, right? Oh, I find fulfillment in helping people and doing all these things. That's great. Like, find joy in that. But if that is the source of your joy, then what you're doing is you're fulfilling yourself from the needs, lack, or suffering of others. In other words, your fulfillment and happiness is dependent upon the needs, the lack, and the suffering of others. So that's the first point. The second point is to keep ignoring the one most consistent factor in your experience and to prioritize the intimate and to prioritize the intermittent, temporary, limited, and finite aspects of your experience, thoughts, feelings, images, perceptions, objects, relationships, states of mind, over the one permanent aspect of your experience, which is always there, ever present, never changing, and imperturbable. And we know this because it is the awareness of all changing experience. So when we invest our happiness on changing experience, we find that we are constantly avoiding the one permanency in our experience, which is actually the source of happiness itself. So if you want to continue suffering, ignore the permanent presence of your experience, which is your own being. The third thing is to keep doing spiritual practices. If you want to continue suffering for the rest of your life, carry on spiritual practices. Never change them. Keep them the same. Keep doing your meditation, your yoga, and never do anything else. Reason being, if you do that, you'll successfully suffer because by definition of engaging in a spiritual practice, you are by definition trying to change your experience or make it better or get better or do something to improve. By definition of a practice. So for as long as you're trying to change your experience is for as long as you are resisting your experience. And for as long as you're resisting your experience is for as long as you will suffer. So if you want to continue suffering for the rest of your life, continue your spiritual practices for the rest of your life. 4, keep following and be rigidly attached to a tradition. This is my favorite one. This is really going to make you suffer. So if you're really looking to suffer, just continue doing this. Really, really puts the cherry on the top of all the other 3. And it's these rigid attachments to traditions. So basically, if you think of it like this, like the last thing the Buddha wanted was a tradition. Another tradition which is born of mostly people who misunderstood the pathway to happiness. And what this means is that people pass down a lot of words which originally probably came from a lot of truth, which then got distorted along the way, which then takes people upon a journey of essentially listening to people who don't actually understand the thing that they're sharing. And what happens is that we start listening to things and listening to teachers who are giving some certain type of knowledge, but it isn't coming from their direct experience. It's coming from what they've heard from their teacher or what they've heard from a book or what they've heard from something else. But they kind of get it, so why not teach it, right? So if you want to stick to these rigid traditions and not find your own truth and not be the honor and owner of your own truth, continue these traditions. Step 5, very, very simple. If you want to continue suffering for the rest of your life, keep trying to remove your suffering. Do whatever it takes to get rid of your suffering. Because this is really going to guarantee that you suffer, is because the more you want to remove your suffering, the more you resist your experience. And the more you resist your experience, the more you suffer. So if you want to be happy, make sure that you don't do this. Because if you want to be happy, you would have to recognize that resistance is suffering, and the nature of your experience is actually peace and happiness itself, which in English is absolute acceptance itself. Just like the empty space of this room, the empty space of this room doesn't accept. It doesn't get to, no one goes to the door and then the room goes, yeah, I accept you, come in. And then the next one, yeah. The empty space of this room isn't a bouncer. It's not just deciding who comes in and out. In other words, it doesn't accept. It is acceptance. You, your nature, pure infinite being, existence itself, pure undivided consciousness, doesn't accept experience. it is acceptance. So it can't accept in as much so as it can't reject. If it can't reject, it can't accept. It is pure acceptance. So if that's the nature of your being, then all you'd have to really do is stop resisting your suffering. So if you want to continue to suffer, make sure you try to stop your suffering, because that'll really make sure that you do suffer for the rest of your life. So I hope these steps are clear. I hope they're simple. Any questions, leave them in the description. If you want to continue suffering, do not join my free community. In my free community, I'm going to show you a pathway to unconditional happiness. And it is taking you through coaching sessions 5 times a week completely for free. The link is in the description for those who want to find unconditional happiness. If you don't, and you found value in learning how to suffer, then stay well away. Thank you for listening, guys. Have a beautiful day. Take care.